Josh Kelly, welterweight, currently 6-0, fighting for the Commonwealth title. Follow Sport Icons.
So over the weekend there, where Errol Spence Jr successfully defended his IBF World welterweight title against undefeated Mikey Garcia, 4-weight world champion, there's been a lot of talk about, now that Errol Spence Jr has beaten Mikey Garcia, where is it that Errol Spence Jr would feature on the pound for pound list? Listen, pound for me means nothing to me. I don't care if people put him as number 1 or number 100. It makes no difference to me. Pound for pound is fictional in my world. It doesn't exist. Okay, I mean, if your nan had balls, then she'd be your granddad, right? It makes no difference, because pound for pound, most of it is based on opinion. That's the first one. And second of all, most of it is based on who is it that you like. That's just how it is. Human bias is written all over it. So I asked you guys, since his win over Mikey Garcia, where would you put him on the pound for pound? Because there's been a lot of talk about, obviously a lot of the PBC fanboys will say, well, he's number 1 now because he's defeated this undefeated 4-weight world champion, Mikey Garcia. Other people go, don't be daft. You know, he weight bullied Mikey Garcia. He was supposed to have beat him. If anything, Errol Spence Jr got exposed, really, because he should have walked through him and he should have knocked him out. Okay, that's what should have happened. Why? Because there was like a 2-weight world difference. But of course, a lot of the PBC fans who are jumping in bed with Errol Spence Jr, listen, I'm a big Errol Spence Jr fan myself, but I do consider myself a bit of a realist. A lot of the Errol Spence fans who are proclaiming him as the new messiah of boxing, if you like, were also the ones who slated Canelo for fighting Amir Khan. A lot of people slated Triple G for fighting Kell Brook. And then most of them were saying how Rigondeaux would easily beat Vasyl Lomachenko. When Lomachenko dominated him and made him quit, suddenly Lomachenko weight bullied him. Okay, but now it goes into their favour for a fighter that they like. Suddenly it's a good thing. Do you understand the twisting of the narrative? Okay, which is fine. Listen, if you believe he's number 1, number 2, number 3, makes no difference to me. So anyway, I asked you guys, where is it that you guys would put Errol Spence Jr on the pound for pound list? 24% said in the top 3, 42% said between 4 and 6, 22% between 7 and 10, and 12% outside of the top 10. So most people think that between 4 and 6, so top half of the pound for pound list, that's where most people say. So listen, my stats are not rigged. First of all, you can't rig the stats on YouTube. That's the first one. But second of all, as I said, it makes no difference to me. So even if you could, I wouldn't anyway, because it makes no difference to me what people think about this one. So between 4 and 6, is this number 4, number 5, number 6? Makes no difference really. But either way, there or thereabouts, top half, but not 1 to 3. Most people in the comment section of that one were saying that you got Terence Crawford. Of course, multi-weight world champion, still undefeated in the same weight class as Errol Spence. Errol Spence avoided Terence Crawford. This is what most people are saying, with the excuse of wrong side of the street. Okay, even though any PBC fighter such as Errol Spence can fight on any network, right? A lot of people say Vasyl Lomachenko is above him. A lot of people say Alexander Usyk, of course, a unified, undisputed cruiserweight world champion. A lot of people say Saul Canelo Alvarez, again, multi-weight world champion and has arguably the best resume in boxing. Okay, others will put other ones in there like Inoue and etc, etc. Okay, but as I said, most of it is opinion. Most of it, of course, there are a lot of people who will do it on an unbiased stat, shall we say. But most people say that Errol Spence Jr is between 4 and 6. Now, let's be honest. Should his rankings change or go up for defeating Mikey Garcia? No, because this fight, in reality, and I said I am a big Errol Spence fan, but the reality is he was supposed to win. The only good that would have come out of this, well, in fact, there was no good for Errol Spence that come out of this other than a payday. Okay, if anything, this fight was only ever going to be a negative towards Errol Spence Jr. If Errol Spence had knocked him out, like knocked him around the ring and then knocked him out, he'd have got no credit because he was supposed to have done that. Okay, but by him going the distance, a lot of people are going, maybe your power's overrated. Maybe you're not as good. Okay, whatever it may be, due to the weight difference and all that kind of thing. So I fully get it. That is for sure. I mean, for me, I had no problem with that fight whatsoever. And I was impressed with the fact that he managed to outbox the boxer in Mikey Garcia. But again, he was kind of supposed to. He's got the height, he's got the reach, he's got every kind of advantage over Mikey Garcia. All he's got to do is keep him at range. Obviously, he hits a lot harder. Why? Because he's a bigger guy. Mikey Garcia, in my opinion, kind of let himself down, to be honest. He didn't fight the fight that a lot of people thought was going to happen. A lot of people thought that Mikey Garcia was going to win a few rounds, then ultimately get stopped. Mikey Garcia, in my opinion, of course, when I was doing the live fight with you guys, I had Mikey Garcia winning 2 rounds. 3 an absolute push, because he just wasn't throwing his hands. As I said to you guys, in round number 1, when we were watching it, Mikey Garcia didn't throw a single punch. Not one. Okay, why? Because for me, I think it's a case of Mikey Garcia. He realised that actually Errol Spence is a lot bigger than I thought he was going to be, and he's probably going to hit a lot harder. Now, Errol Spence was throwing a lot more punches. Why? Because he had no fear about what was coming back, and he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. Once he realised Mikey Garcia can't hurt him, he was then going to walk him down and try and walk through some shots. Now, don't get me wrong, Mikey Garcia did get him on the back foot on a couple of occasions, but ultimately the size and everything pays a difference. So does that win put Errol Spence Jr. as ranked number 1 in the world? No, of course not. I mean, you have to be an extreme fanboy or totally off your head to think that Errol Spence Jr. should be ranked number 1 on pound for pound. It just isn't. For me, listen, top 10, certainly, of course. But is he, I mean, put it this way. Errol Spence Jr., he's a very, very big 147-pound fighter. Mikey Garcia is nowhere near that, even walking around weight. But you put Errol Spence Jr. in the same kind of weight difference as to what they fought, as in move Errol Spence Jr. up from welterweight up to 2 divisions to middleweight, put him in there with Golovkin. See what happens. Golovkin destroys him. There's no way around it. And that's not necessarily something that I want to see or anything like that, not at all. But I'm saying to you is that's the kind of difference. Okay, you put Errol Spence in there with Triple G, the same thing's going to happen. Triple G will break him up and stop him. If not, he'll certainly outbox him. Why? Because Triple G is the bigger guy. Much like when Triple G fought Kell Brook. Kell Brook, same kind of thing as Errol Spence Jr., where they're big welterweights. So they were kind of weight bullying, if you like, 147, the welterweights. But when Kell Brook moved in with Triple G hits so much harder. He's so much bigger. Listen, Kell Brook, you know, he did well in moments in that fight. He actually lifted Golovkin off his feet with an uppercut. Okay, but Errol Spence Jr., totally different. Of course, he beat Kell Brook as well, but Kell Brook had 1 eye in 5 rounds. Clearly, there was something wrong with Kell Brook's face for quite some time. Triple G exposed that in the fight before, and then Errol Spence Jr. exposed the other side of his face in the other one. So that's not coincidental. Okay, now that's pretty much what I'm saying to you, is that if you want to see if Errol Spence Jr. is a pound-for-pound fighter, first of all, he has to move up in weight divisions, okay? He has to unify again. But as I said, throw him in there with Triple G. Throw him in there with Jamal Charlo, even. Why not? Put him in there with Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank Jr. See what happens. There's only going to be one outcome, and that is Errol Spence Jr. getting pummeled. Not, as I said, not really something I want to see, but that's just the reality of it. So to give him huge praise for defeating Mikey Garcia, sure, you can give him praise for the fact that he managed to outbox him, but again, he was supposed to. Okay, but equally, he was supposed to have knocked him out. And that's the fact of it. He was supposed to have done that. He was supposed to have done to Mikey Garcia what Triple G done to Kell Brook, what Canelo done to Amir Khan. That's what was supposed to happen. And because it didn't, does it leave a question mark over Errol Spence? Potentially, yes. But Errol Spence did show better boxing skills in this fight than what I thought he would. But anyway, so that's the results of my poll. Over 1.7 thousand of you voted, and most people said he should be ranked in the pound for pound list between 4 and 6, which is decent in itself, isn't it? So anyway, we'll have to wait and see what happens next. Will he fight Manny Pacquiao? That's something that's been talked about. Will he fight Keith Thurman? I'm not too sure Keith Thurman will want to get in the ring with him. Will he fight Sean Porter? Maybe. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see. So anyway, you drop your thoughts below about it, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.